Just to be very, very clear, it's not about money. They were prepared to pay me at least what I would be getting on a union scale contract, possibly more. They just don't want to put it on a union contract.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
We've got a pop culture union story, and I mentioned going into overtime, we're going to be talking about anime union busting, and Strom McCallum in the chat said, "What in hell is anime union busting?" And well, we're about
It's not a new series out on.
not a new series.
It's not a new series, though. I'm sure you could make an interesting anime series about union busting.
I would watch it. Because I'm a big. I mean, I'm not a big anime fan, but I don't watch TV just a whole lot. But when I watch TV, the majority of the time that I watch TV, I'm watching anime, unless I'm watching like Abbott Elementary with my fiance. So,
Well, I definitely grew up watching, Adult
DBZ.
Swim and Toonami.
mhm.
So those were some big parts of my viewing habits growing up. Yeah, Dragon Ball Z and Cowboy Bebop and some of those programs. I'm not very in tune with anime currently, so I'm sure if I were to go to something like Crunchyroll, I would be completely out of my element.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I am aware of anime. I
Yeah.
know what it is.
Yeah.
Hopefully most of our listeners at least are aware of what it is, whether you watch it or not. It's not for everybody. It's kind of a unique subculture, the diehard anime fans. So always interesting when our union world intersects with these like fandoms and subcultures.
Yeah. So yeah, anime is like that Japanese animation, like Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, stuff like that. And Crunchyroll is kind of the big Netflix for anime.
Right.
They're the I think they're the biggest anime streaming service. That's like all they have. It's only anime on Crunchyroll, is my understanding. And that's where most places are going to put their anime.
It's a paid
Crunchyroll.
subscription service, right?
Yes.
Like Netflix and Hulu.
And to which I am a subscriber. Potentially not for long. We'll see what comes of this. But they are apparently vehemently anti-union. They've got a new season of Mob Psycho 100. I have never seen that, but apparently there's a pretty big audience for it. They've got a new season of Mob Psycho 100, and the lead voice actor for the dub, which subs are when you see the anime in its original Japanese voice actors and you get subtitles. The dub is where they redo the audio tracks. And so they get American or English actors. And Kyle McCarley was the voice actor for Mob. Mob is the main character in Mob Psycho 100 for season 1 and season 2. A new season is coming out, season 3, and there's been some changes at Crunchyroll that I'm not entirely sure what all is going. I think Sony bought them, and I'm not sure who did the dub for Mob Psycho 100 first season and second season. I'm not entirely clear on all of that, but the voice actor is a member of SAG-AFTRA, which is the actors union.
Right.
And when they approached him about doing the voice for Mob for season 3, they did not want to sign a union contract. So it must have been somebody other than Crunchyroll that was doing Mob Psycho 100 for the first and second season, because apparently it was union, because this guy's a union member and he doesn't do non-union gigs. So anyway, they have. Oh, I just got a text from Jared, another anime fan, listener of the show, IFPTE member at NASA. He says, there's a free account level on Crunchyroll. Yeah, I knew that. In addition to the premium subscription, main difference is free accounts get the new episodes a week or two later after the premiere. I didn't know that. I thought that it was just that you get commercials if you get the free account, but apparently you get it a week or two later than the premiere. Crunchyroll is the main U.S. anime service because they have been able to get the licenses for the major series as opposed to torrent sites. I don't know what torrent sites are. I'm not deep enough, I guess, into the anime.
Well,
I'm a
torrents, that's like from back in my teenage years. That's how we stole all that music and movies.
Gotcha.
And yeah.
So yeah, that's so I appreciate that, Jared, for that. I'm a pretty pop level anime consumer, I think. So I appreciate that. And so Kyle McCarley put out a YouTube video. It's about 5 minutes long, explaining the situation, and it's short enough that that there really isn't a whole lot of chaff to cut from the wheat. But it's also long enough that I thought it might be weird just to play it and then react to it. So we're gonna play it, and we're gonna stop and pause and react as we go along this clip. So Adam, let's go ahead and play this clip from Kyle McCarley, the English voice actor for Mob in Mob Psycho 100. Explain what's going on at Crunchyroll.
Hi everybody, Kyle McCarley here. You may know me as the English voice of Shigeo Kageyama, aka Mob, in the anime series Mob Psycho 100. I'm making this video to let you know that, well, first of all, in case you weren't aware, there is a third season of Mob Psycho 100 on the way very, very soon. As a fan myself, I was super excited about this. I'm a big fan of the show. I love playing Mob. And I love you guys, the fans. You guys have been incredible over the years. But I'm making this video because I wanted to let you know that there have been talks over the past couple of weeks between the cast of the show and Crunchyroll, who's producing the show, about potentially producing this season of the show on a SAG-AFTRA union contract. And as a result of those conversations, I'm making this video because it's looking very, very likely that I will not be reprising my role as Mob. I know for some of you that probably sucks to hear. Believe me, it sucks a lot to say. I'm really, really bummed about this. But I wanted to let you all know how we got here and where here is. As a SAG-AFTRA union member and a member of the SAG-AFTRA dubbing steering committee, it's really, really important to me personally that all the work that I do be covered by a SAG-AFTRA union contract. For those of you who don't know, SAG-AFTRA is a union that represents actors. Unions exist to protect their workers. I could get into the nitty-gritty about why unions are a good thing and why SAG-AFTRA exists and what they do for performers like myself. But I'm not going to muddy up this video with all that information. If you're curious, you can just scroll through the Twitter thread that follows this post. It has been made.
Can pause that for a second, because we will be going through his analysis of unions, because I think that it's a really good kind of pop level explainer about what unions are, and we're gonna show you a tweet of the audience's reaction to this Twitter thread and to this video, because it's been really heartening seeing the audience's reaction. I think it's been really interesting, and I've been happy to see stuff like that. So
yeah, I think he is clearly aware that he's speaking to an audience that are not labor nerds. They're anime nerds, right? And I say that lovingly. I'm not trying to be disparaging in any way, because I know that I am a nerd when it comes to unions and follow them very obsessively and read everything I can and watch everything I can. And but that's a very rare or small segment of the population. And certainly I think he's aware that he's speaking to people who are committed, loyal fans of this anime series who may know almost nothing about unions.
Yeah.
So I like that he kind of gives you just enough to let you know this is a good thing, this is why. But because I think it is easy sometimes for us to regardless of whether we're talking union or not, to get kind of stuck in our own bubbles and forget that not everybody is in tune with everything we're in tune with. And sometimes we have to have some shared vocabulary and meet people where they're at on different topics.
Yep. Yeah, let's go ahead and continue.
Abundantly clear to me that in the case of Season 3 of Mob Psycho 100, Crunchyroll is not going to be producing that show on a SAG-AFTRA contract. And I want to put this little note in here just to be very, very clear. It's not about money. They were prepared to pay me at least what I would be getting on a union scale contract, possibly more. They just don't want to put it on a union contract. With
And now let's pause there,
99.9%.
because this is something that we see across industries in some cases. We do see occasionally. Now, of course, we understand that in the main, union workers are going to be making more. But we do see occasionally, we see industries, we see individual bosses that are willing to pay more as long as they don't have to, put it on a union contract. Why is that? Well, because union contracts are, legally binding. You cannot unilaterally change them. If if it's not a union contract, you can, as the boss, as the employer, unilaterally change it. There's also beyond wages. There are other things that unions fight for: safety, health, quality of life, time off, things like this that go into union contracts. There's also more than one person involved in a union contract, and so maybe they're willing to pay this guy who's the lead actor on this. They're willing to pay him a lot of money. But what happens if it's a SAG-AFTRA union contract? Well, that means other people are in there too, and they've got to pay other people more, and that's an issue as well. And so the fact that he's willing to even potentially take a pay cut to do it on a union contract so that the other people get the benefit of it and so that he gets the other ancillary benefits of it speaks to, I think, his commitment to solidarity and his, I think that speaks well to his character that he's willing to do that.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you're right. This is something we see a lot where ultimately bosses and industries prioritize power, sometimes even over profits in the short term.
Right.
Look at Warrior Matt Cole and the amount of money that they have left
$1 billion on the table.
Yeah, they have spent a tremendous amount of money. They've lost a lot of potential money from mines being inactive. And, if you add all those costs up, hell, they could have just settled this contract 500 days ago.
Right.
And probably have been better off.
Yes.
But, and of course they'll frame this as flexibility. The bosses want flexibility. But what it's really about is about the relationship to power there. And bosses don't want to share.
Yeah.
Not good at sharing.
Yeah, let's continue.
Of the work that I do, that would be the end of the conversation for me. I would say, thank you very much for the opportunity, but I don't work non-union. But with the help of my castmates, who I've been in close contact with throughout the course of these negotiations, I was able to see an opportunity here. Crunchyroll has historically been very, very hesitant to take anything that they produce onto a SAG-AFTRA contract. And just because of the role that I have in this particular show and this particular show's popularity with you guys, it seemed like maybe there was an opportunity to change that. So I went back to Crunchyroll with the offer that I would agree to work on this season of this show, non-union, on the condition that they agree to sit down and meet with SAG-AFTRA representatives with the purposes of negotiating a potential contract for them to use on future productions. That's all I was asking. Not a commitment to definitely guaranteed make such an agreement happen, not a commitment to definitely guarantee using such an agreement if it came into existence, just an agreement to good faith negotiations, an agreement to
now,
sit
I think
down
this is,
and have a conversation.
This is really, really a basic ask. Like, you can't, there could be no lesser ask here. There's no commitment on either side. It's just like, meet with us. Just meet with us. And I think that's an interesting ask. He said, he's talked about that with his castmates, and we certainly support them in this ask, and think that it's the least that Crunchyroll can do, getting this union actor on a non-union contract for a meeting.
Right.
There's no commitments, no strings.
Just sit down and talk.
That is, that's incredibly generous from Kyle here. This is an incredibly generous offer from Kyle and from the union. Just a meeting. And I'll give you a whole season of my labor. So let's see how they responded.
On their own terms, where SAG-AFTRA can present the needs of the performers that they represent on a contract with any given employer, and a conversation where Crunchyroll can present their needs as a production company and just find out if there's any middle ground to be found between those two so that a contract could be made for future productions. As far as where things stand right now, Crunchyroll's a big corporation. There's a lot of people that have to weigh in on a decision like this, most of whom I have not spoken to. But all I needed them to do was agree to sit down and have a conversation, and it seems like that's not something that they want to do. So I just wanted to let you guys know that unless things change, you're probably going to be hearing at least one unfamiliar voice on Mob Psycho 100 Season 3, maybe more. I don't want to speak for anybody in particular, and I certainly don't want to cast judgment or blame against any actor who takes whatever work opportunities they're given. Everybody's in different situations in their lives and in their careers, and they all have to make their own decisions and the decisions that are best for them. And I'm not going to begrudge anybody for that. Thank you guys so very much for your support. I love you all, and I hope that the next time I talk to you, I will have some happier news to share.
So I think that was a good video about the situation, and unfortunately the update it's not good news. And Adam, let's go to that graphic from the Kotaku article. And the title is Mob Psycho 100's English voice actor probably isn't coming back because of Crunchyroll. And they posted an update to that article that same day that the video came out. Crunchyroll replied. Crunchyroll's the anime production company. Kotaku is the anime news service. Crunchyroll replied to Kotaku saying, quote, Crunchyroll is excited to bring fans worldwide the dub for the third season of Mob Psycho 100. We will need to recast some roles. We're excited for fans to enjoy the new voice talent and greatly thank any departing cast for their contributions to previous seasons. So it seems like we've got a confirmation here that they're going to replace Kyle on that production.
Which totally sucks.
Which really sucks, and I think goes to show the depravity of the corporate executives at Crunchyroll.
Right.
I mean, could you imagine giving up the lead role that clearly, from the audience reaction that we're going to show you here in a bit, clearly people have a connection to, because you don't want to meet with him. You do not want to have a meeting with him and his union representatives. And so you're willing to cut the leading actor from their role. That's amazing. That's appalling.
Yeah, I mean, and I've witnessed that kind of stuff before, where bosses it's like the very act of meeting with you is beneath them.
Right.
And that's the sort of attitude they have, and that's kind of the vibe I'm getting here, because obviously Kyle was extremely nice about this.
Yeah.
Extremely low level of escalation here.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, I mean, you couldn't really ask for any less, I don't think, at this point. So, there's nothing about what I just witnessed would make me scared to have a meeting with that guy.
Seriously.
He's not riling, even after he already kind of sees the writing on the wall that he's probably going to get screwed here. Mm-hmm. He's still not riling people up. He's not being defamatory. He's still playing it really cool. And sometimes it's really hurtful when you see workers who are going about things like the nice, polite, professional way, trying to work through the process, trying to play the game a little bit, and they get screwed even then. Despite trying all they could.
Yeah. He mentioned that he has a Twitter thread where he goes more in depth about unions, and so let's take a look at that, because obviously that's something that his fans have seen, and then we want to talk about the fan reaction to this. So his first set of tweets, he had 8 tweets about that. And so the first set of tweets say, unions protect the workers they represent chiefly by giving them collective bargaining power, meaning that instead of negotiating the terms of your employment individually, one-on-one, the union negotiates baseline minimums for everyone all at once. This generally leads to better terms for all workers because, as a collective, you have sway in these negotiations. How much you get paid, how long your hours are, how hard those hours are, how often you get breaks or time off, what safety precautions are taken, etc. So, you know, I think this is some really good stuff. And with voice actors, I can't remember if I saw another interview with Kyle or if it was a different voice actor, but they mentioned that, you know, voice actors, they have to yell a lot for their job. There's a lot of there's a lot of real strain on your voice that is expected of a voice actor. And so one of the things that voice actors are able to secure in their union contracts is like, I'm only able to do, you know, voice acting or, you know, I will only do voice acting that is this strenuous for this amount of time or something like that. And that's a very important, you know, I mean, if you've ever been to, you know, a football game where you've yelled a lot, right? Just the next day, your voice is shot the whole day, right? And so imagine this is your job, you know, and so you definitely, that's a legitimate safety precaution that people in other industries aren't going to have to worry about, that their union, that they, through their union, are able to fight for. Second set of tweets said, oh, it is from this. It is from this set of tweets. So here he says, just one example of how SAG-AFTRA, in the second set of tweets, of how SAG-AFTRA helps voiceover performers specifically is by negotiating terms that protect us from vocally stressful work. We often have to do a lot of screaming / shouting on the job, but our contracts ensure it's never too long a time. Our union's also gone to great lengths to educate both us and our employers on the dangers of vocally stressful work, and there are plenty of other benefits, but the big ones I want to point out are the health insurance and retirement fund. And so, you know, those are really good things. The third set of tweets, he says, America does not have universal health insurance. We pay for coverage, which can be expensive, and it often doesn't cover everything. Some workers can get it from their employers, which often means better / more affordable coverage, but that's not possible for performers. We're freelancers. We work for a lot of different employers in very short bursts, so it wouldn't make any financial sense for any of them to give us health and retirement benefits on their own, and that's where SAG-AFTRA comes in. And the final set of tweets, he says, by collecting a small percentage on top of our fee, on top of our union dues for every job we work on, SAG-AFTRA funds a phenomenal health plan that's very affordable for qualifying members, as well as a retirement plan. These are huge reasons for actors to work union. I could probably go on for days about this, and we would love for him to come on the show if he wanted to. We weren't able to get in touch with him this week, but if anybody who's listening to this happens to know Kyle McCarley, let him know that our doors are open. I could probably go on for days about this, but those are the big bullet points I wanted to cover for those unfamiliar / uncertain about the benefits of unionization that wouldn't fit in the video. So really good, really good public education work by Union Brother Kyle McCarley here. Really good representation of the labor movement, and a really good illustration by virtue of Crunchyroll's actions of the depravity of bosses and corporate executives. And it is that depravity and that illustration of the depravity of corporate executives and bosses that that has really sent the anime fandom into a tizzy. And this tweet from @the CJ Wilson is really representative of a lot of responses that we've seen. There's been a lot of pictures of Mob, the main character that he voices, with union signs. There's been, fan art and stuff like that. Lots of very supportive tweets. And this one, I think really kind of encapsulates everything. And it says, "Have you ever fucked up a professional negotiation so badly that you accidentally made all anime fans class conscious?" So, I think.
Nice.
I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I hope something comes out of it in that way. I hope that, as bad as I feel for Kyle and what he's going through, and certainly I relate to that struggle of retaliation, but I hope that folks get educated out of this process, and maybe some folks, especially young folks who are really into anime and have been following this guy's career and his work, have learned something about unions and have learned something about the labor movement and have learned something about labor versus capital in the marketplace and the way these dynamics play out all too often. I think a lot of times people don't necessarily see these relationships for what they are.
Right.
I think sometimes folks assume that the company's looking out for them, or that, well, we just have to be happy with whatever we can get. But there's a power imbalance inherent in the employer-employee relationship. And if some folks who don't think about those things, if some folks who are, spending all their free time on anime and not politics and not unions, if they had a wake-up call with this moment, I think Kyle can be proud to know that he played a role in that. Mm-hmm. And that's what I hope happens. And, I think that's one of the things that we have to do in labor is pull in different communities, pull in different niche groups, subgroups, fandoms, and tie things into culture. When there's a labor issue happening, is there a way to activate people in the popular community? And I think we have to be creative about that. Like, this is an opportunity to activate people in the anime community. There are opportunities to activate artists, musical artists, other, actors, and celebrities sometimes even. I'm not big on celebrity culture and obsessing over celebrities, but sometimes that can help. Sometimes you can get celebrities on your side or use them as a pressure point. I'm thinking about a particular situation where scabs are being used instead of union labor to assemble concerts and put on shows. Well, maybe we need to talk to the bands that are coming through. Mm-hmm. And so I hope that also what comes of this for Kyle is that there are conversations happening with other voice actors.
Right.
And I hope that, they can really break through in this industry and break through with a company like Crunchyroll, because it sounds like they are a really major player. If they're snatching up licensing for all these different programs coming out of Japan, if they're doing original programming, they're a pretty major player in this part of the entertainment industry. And so it'd be great to see unions really break through. It's a shame to see Crunchyroll react the way they have, but maybe fans can do some organizing to put pressure on the company. I'm a big fan of consumer boycotts when and where they can be effective. And this is a situation where I think possibly it could be.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep you updated on what happens there, what the union calls for, what Kyle calls for.
Yeah, absolutely.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.